Dublin's industrial history is captured in the accounts of the dock workers, the market traders and the factory workers, whose stories describe the work involved in providing the food that fed the people of this city.
One of the premises behind the project was that people felt a disconnect from their communities, from their neighbours and things like that. But in fact, the more and more that we explored it, that's not the case. Communities are changing, and your community may not be the geographical neighbourhood that you live in. You may have a community built on work, built on interest, built on culture.
It's a unifying thing to do, to come into our National Library and talk about food, right? And food is a very unifying idea. And we're probably at a time in the world where finding reasons to come together and the things that unify us are very, very important.
My father's father and his father before him were dockers, and they worked here for many, many years like himself.
Most people would have a paper or cardboard union card. That was our union card. You wore it in your lapel. It was probably the first social welfare system in Ireland.
Most of the cocoa beans that come in went to Cadbury's and Orneys and Roundtree Macintosh. Everything from all over the world. All kinds of fruit.
I started using food as a material because of the way that it makes people spend time together. And once you have anything in front of you, you're kind of not self-conscious anymore, and you can hang around in a place.
The fish market was there, and Father worked there also, as well as they trade fish for fruit with some of his friends, and he'd bring home the best of fish, like monkfish, which restaurants never use.
Each morning we open our doors at 6:30, and we'd have anything from 250 to 300 for breakfast. And a lot of those people sleep on the streets. Every day we have a different menu for the people. It can be fish one day, a stew another day.
I think that the magic starts to happen when you start to cross communities.
Fortunately enough, I'm lucky that for the past year I've been able to live in a space whereby I can cook for my children, but there are lots of almost 5,000 people still stuck in direct provision who aren't able to even cook their own meals and even pass culture skills to their own children.
So they used to actually have ads for fish fryers in the newspapers, you know, and if no Irish person applied for that, it meant that they could then go and they get a visa for their cousin or something who was a qualified fish fryer, you know. The thing is, there was no such thing as a fish fryer in Ireland.
And at that time, they used to have, I remember my grandmother telling me, they had a big block of ice, you know, to keep the fish fresh, because there was no such thing as refrigerators then. And she used to have to sit on top of the ice, you know, coming from the market, you know.
Identity, me, and how I can express myself, that's what culture is. So like I also want to put food in the same perception of like food it's an identity. You know, food it's like a bond, it's like a mother giving a birth to a child, whereby it's something which you've grown up eating.
My mother's parents, after the war, they came and it was work and they worked for other people, and then they set up they had their own shop. Then they had a place in O'Connell Street, the Pillar Ice Cream Parlour, which was quite famous at the time for its Knickerbocker glories and that kind of thing.
When she went out to Australia, our partner, naturally, they never heard of coddle before, you know. So she'd be making the coddle. But what she has to do, she'd have to put a lot more vegetable into it, where when I'd be making it, it'd be bacon pieces, sausages, onions and oxos.
Only for the generosity of people, we would not survive. We have never gone short of food, and we have never gone short of money, and that is due to the great generosity of the people.
My sister, she's a year older than me. She's dead now, Lord have mercy on her, but she would have went down, they loved her, and they always brought her in, so I'd follow then and knock at the door and say, is my sister there? Come on in, Lisa. And you'd have the best of corned beef there, you know, the slices of corned beef and the bachelor beans and the mashed potatoes, and we'd roll up the potatoes and the beans and the corned beef, and we'd eat it like it.
It's extraordinarily easy to divide us. It is much harder, but it's a big gravity if you can ask people to say, what is it that brings you together?
The story, role and journey of food in the city from the docks to the markets and from the streets to the tables, will now be added to the National Library's collections.
Civic pride, a sense of pride in Dublin, but also on a very local level. Placing people within the history of their locality, I think that creates a sense of pride in an area, and that's the job of projects like this.